How's it going, everyone? KingBlackToof here. So welcome back to another top 5 strongest cards, this time from batch number 4. So I thought this batch was the best batch of the lot so far. We didn't have an awful lot of create cards, and we heard some stuff about create being just faction specific plus neutral, unless stated otherwise. Still some confusion about that, but a great set. We had a lot of really cool, interesting cards that actually seem viable. We had Shoop's Big Adventure, which everybody loved and can't wait to get their hands on. A lot of instant crafts, you know, with premiums and abilities. So a really good batch, this one, number 4. So again, let's go through the top 5 strongest, and I've chosen my top 5 strongest and one honorable mention to go through. So let's start, shall we? In my number 5 spot, we've got the Kdhwani Night. This is a Northern Realms 8 strength bronze, and it boosts this unit by 5 if you play it from the deck. It also has 2 armor, and quite a lot of Northern Realms units have 2 armor. I think the Cursed Knight does, as well as the Kdhwani Revenant recently. So I think that's all just to help Vincent out. So everyone's got a little bit of armor rather than having to go full armor archetype, which is interesting. But the Kdhwani Night, well, it's just a 13 strength bronze if you played it from the deck, and not too hard to do that. You've got Reaver Scouts, Reinforcement, Field Medics, Alzor's Double Cross, or Marching Orders, or something like that. Reinforcement, Henselt, because it's Kdhwan. So, you know, really not a bad play there. I mean, you could feasibly Henselt this, put one of these down, Henselt it, and that's something along the lines of 26 plus Henselt strength. That's about 25-point play there, which it might not be the strongest, but I mean, it's 5th spot. I mean, there are some more other cards which are more interesting. I really like the Kdhwani Revenant, but I just don't think that it's going to be staying on the board as long. You know, it'd be nice to have some experimentation with it. Every time you play a spell, spawn a copy, and then that new one probably spawns a copy, probably. I don't know. But yeah, I put this at the 5th spot because it's just basic value, which doesn't seem too difficult to get, which is nice. So in my number 4 spot, I've chosen Sihil. This is a neutral gold, and it has a lot of choice, and seemingly some options could be quite powerful if you build towards it. So you can deal 3 damage to all enemies with an odd power, deal 3 damage to all enemies with an even power, or summon a random bronze and silver unit, or silver unit. So I mean, it's got the nice safety backup to summon a bronze or silver unit, which is nice. But generally speaking, hopefully you're going to try and go for the damage aspect. And if you stick it with someone like Northern Realms Machines, I think it's the ballistas or reinforced ballistas that can level and do loads of damage with leveling, you could probably get a lot of value from this. I mean, he's got like 10 units on the board, that's 30 value, if they're all even or if they're all odd. But I mean, maybe I think it's reasonably okay to say that's possible to set up. So like that could be particularly very strong, but then you've always got the nice fallback if it doesn't seem particularly strong to summon a random bronze or silver unit, which is good. So I felt like it's an exciting one to try out with certain archetypes which do a lot of leveling with wounding and stuff like that. So I thought it was worth a spot on the list, really. And the next one, number 3, is Trial of Grasses. This is a gold neutral alchemy card. Vesemir can't pull this. Deal 10 damage to a unit unless it's a Witcher. If it survives, boost it by 25 power. Now, the issue is boost, because that means it's vulnerable. But if this is your final play and you have card advantage, then effectively it's a 25-point card, isn't it? Actually, not quite. You have to take off the Witcher value. We do have a Witcher down here. He's 5, so that'll be a 20-point play. She's 1, but you wouldn't play that. You've got things like, I mean, it's alchemy, so you're probably going to stick it into a Nilfgaard, which means you've got orcs and you've got Viper School witches. So these are relatively low strength witches, which could work really well, you know. So it's like a really nice T-Bor, you know, without the disadvantages. Now it's not as much as T-Bor because obviously it only boosts to 25, not by 25. But I mean, in a pinch, you can also use it as 10 strength removal on the opponent's cards. And you don't have to use it on a Witcher. You could use it on an 11 strength unit. If you've got armor or Quen, I would imagine that if you've got a Quend unit, let's say in Scoia'tael, a Quend Alvin Mercenary, you use this on the Alvin Mercenary, it hits the Quen, and then gets boosted to 25, which will be a 22-point play, which is pretty good. It's like a T-ball without a negative. So I think this has got really good potential. You know, I really do. Very, very decent card, I reckon. So in second spot, Johanna. She's a Tordarrock silver Skellige card, 6 strength. Heal a bronze or silver unit, then boost it by the amount healed. Remember, this is bronze or silver, so not doing it to big boy Olaf. You can't do that. But basically, it's combining an armor smith and a war crier together. And I mean, the potential for this is quite strong. Now, Skellige has a lot of really good silvers, so it might find difficulty getting a place, but the potential with veteran decks is quite high. I mean, if you've got a skirmisher and it's like 18 value and then it gets knocked down by weather down to like 4, you know, that means you're going to heal it 14 and then buff it 14, which is 28-point play plus 6. So, you know, with a couple of these key cards, now I know a lot of people don't like wounding without killing usually because of armor smiths, and so you might be able to play around her quite well, but she has the potential to be really, really, really powerful. Massive swings. And it's all about, you know, these big cards and can you take the damage and when do you use it? There's always a risk on whether the opponent can remove it or not. So this is really, really, really good. I mean, if the opponent has a really high strength unit, you could wound it down to 8, muzzle it, and then Johanna it. And that would be a massive boon for you, you know? So if they've got a, let's say they play Curse Skellige and they got Berserker Marauder, which is 18, knock it down 10, muzzle it, Johanna, and it goes up by 20. You know, she seems like a really good card. I think a lot of people are going to be scared of her, the possibility of her, whether she makes it in, because like I said, it's quite competitive silvers. So we'll see. She seems like a really decent card. Big value. Okay, my honourable mention, there's quite a few that I could have chose, but I just chose this silver card, the Pit Trap. Now, first impression is it's a really good card, isn't it? But I just need to just clarify, and I may be wrong with this particular honourable mention, so feel free to tell me anything if you feel like I'm saying things wrong, but it's a silver card, right? And it applies a hazard to an enemy row that deals 3 damage to units on contact. So this has been confirmed that obviously if you place it onto a row, if there's any units there, they get 3 damage dealt to them. Then any units placed into that row by a movement or by the enemy row locked or whatever will take 3 damage. So it's kind of like a lacerate in a way. And when I look at it like that, I end up thinking it's not that good for a silver. And the reason being is because, well, you've got some options, right? You can wait till the opponent's got quite a few units there, place it down, it kind of lacerates what's there, and anything else that gets put in there gets lacerated or gets like 3 strength done to them, right? Now, it probably means the opponent's going to just avoid that row. Seems like everything's agile, so it's very easy to avoid that row. So you're going to have to move them in there. And while that's good, why don't you just move everything to one row and then lacerate with a bronze card? Because this has the potential to be clear skied, you know, or, and I would imagine that clear sky still pluses 2 on everything that's wounded. And since it wounded everything by 3, if they clear sky, most likely everything will gain 2 and you'll lose a lot of value. So the reason it's an honourable mention is because it seems decent. It's got the risk of being removed by a weather clear. And couldn't you just move all the units first and then lacerate rather than lacerating what's there, then starting to move them? The only benefit this would have is if you place it down, you moved a unit in there, the opponent moved it out, you moved it back in, the opponent moved it out, and you moved it back in and stuff. It's a silver, so really only going to get it once, maybe twice. But it just doesn't seem like it's worth it. You might as well move everything and then lacerate, you know. It might not be bad to stop. I don't know if it actually stops the deployability. By the sounds of things, it might. But I don't imagine, like, everything's agile now from what we can tell. So like you won't be able to stop priestesses of Freya and Sigurdrifa and stuff. So it probably won't be that effective in actually stopping certain units' abilities. So that's why it's an honourable mention. And let me know if I'm wrong, if you can think of some other practical use for this, and I'm not just talking bollocks, as always. So you can probably guess what my number 1 spot is, and it's Pavel's favourite card, no doubt, and it's not Pavko Gale, it's Yorveth Meditation. Very strange that we're seeing a lot of Scoia'tael golds that are really low strength but have really strong abilities. It's nice. It's nice to see, actually, a nice kind of stylistic, thematic thing just for Scoia'tael, where you've got really low strength but really high abilities. But he forces 2 units to duel each other, and this is really powerful because the options there for the person who plays this card. I mean, you can be your unit and the opponent's unit. It could be 2 opponents' units, which is really strong, you know. If you've got a Gwent unit, you could do a lot of damage for free. Or if you've got a really high strength unit, like the hand buffed Sword Masters, they're about 15 or something sometimes, and then you can do 15 damage to something else with this card. But it seems like the best value is getting 2 of the opponent's units to fight. And there is a lot of maths behind what the optimal situation of this is. Now, obviously, armor and Quen and what you target first, which hits first, is all very important. But the best method to get the most value, which is not always the best case scenario, because obviously you might want to kill something a bit more specific. But if you just want pure value, you want to go for the Fibonacci sequence when you're targeting 2 cards. And this is an equation where you find a number based on the 2 numbers before it in the sequence. And I'll show you that and explain that to you now. Okay, so this is the Fibonacci sequence, and this is going to be very important when we're looking at value for Yorveth Meditation. But effectively, this looks like something I would teach in my maths lessons at school. But it's a sequence of numbers, and you find the next number by adding up the 2 numbers before it. So the first number is probably 0. So 0 add 1 is 1. And then to find this number, we look at 1 add 1 is 2. 1 add 2 is 3. 2 add 3 is 5. 3 and 5 is 8. 5 and 8 is 13. 8 and 13 is 21. 13 and 21 is 34. So you just keep doing the 2 previous numbers makes the next number. And this is really important when you're working out Yorveth Meditation to get the maximum value. Now, it's not necessarily always true that this is what you want to go for, because you might want something to die specifically. So you might want to target something in an inoptimal way of value-wise, but to make sure you kill like something like an engine card. You have to take into account armor and Quen and things like this in the future. But this is the best way for value. And we're going to use the example of, let's use 8 and 13 here. So 1 unit's 8, 1 unit's 13 on the opponent's side of the board, and you're going to get them to fight. You'll start with the 8. The 8 will hit the 13, which means the 13 goes down to 5 strength. The 5 strength hits the 8, which means the 8 goes down to 3. The 3 hits the 5, so the 5 goes down to 2. The 2 hits the 3, which goes down to 1. The 1 hits the 2, which goes down to 1. And the 1 hits the 1, which kills it. So if you've got 2 units which are anywhere in this number that are next to each other, like 21 and 34 or 144 and 233, if you get those 2 to fight, it's guaranteed that the 2 units will all go down to 1 and one of them will die. The 1 unit will stay at 1 strength and the other one will get destroyed. So this is the best value you can get for Yorveth Meditation, which is about it's about 61% you're looking for. You want 1 unit to be about 60%, 61% higher than the other unit, okay? Because obviously 50% of that is 4, so maybe it's about 5 higher, which it kind of is. It's 5 higher, you know. 60% of 13 is about 8, you know, so it's about 60% difference you're looking for. But effectively, what does all this mean? I just did you a crash course on maths, but what does it mean? It means your meditation has the potential to gain absolutely tons of value, like a lot. It's going to be really annoying to face this. You know, you place 2 units on the board, they're quite strong, you feel pretty happy. Oh, you can't scorch them both, you can't Geralt Igni them both, you know, you can't remove them. Oh wait, your Veth hits like a bloody truck, you know, and he's not even hitting you. He's sleeping, and he's hitting yourself. You're hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. That type of thing. He's a very strong card, and I think this card is probably one of the higher skill cards. It's really about knowing the maths. To get the maximum value out of this, you have to really know the maths on what values are going to be good to hit to each other, and maybe set that up a little bit before you actually go around doing it. So really strong card, and thank you for watching this top 5 strongest of the 4th batch. An amazing batch. Absolutely loved this batch. Best batch yet. So we've got one last batch left, and this is in the Challenger event. So I'm hoping the new patch will be released very quickly after Challenger. So we'll see. Thank you for watching. Take care. See you again very soon.